Our last question is about the capital plan. And now, for those who don't know, the capital plan is basically the city's budget for the next 4 years. It was 3 years, now it's 4 years. And this is a question that's also going to be on the election ballot. In addition to who you vote for, you'll get to vote yes or no to the capital plan. Now, over the last few months, SafeAmp ran a letter writing campaign trying to basically ask city government to put funding for an all-ages music venue into the city's capital plan. We had about 700 letters sent, and it was quite successful. Last minute, sort of before the final draft of the plan was announced, I don't think it was exactly council, it was a committee of the entire council who met, and they had this meeting where it's called the Standing Committee of Council on Planning, Transportation, Environment. Anyway, they met and they did, much to our happiness, put in the minutes of this meeting, moved by Councillor Louis, that in this section, we can fix this.
It's an amendment by committee.
Yeah, amendment by committee, that an allocation of funding is available to undertake feasibility studies for new projects, such as new social and cultural group centers, including consideration of an all-ages live music facility, as well as to conduct a review of city-owned facilities to identify underused space that could be provided at low or no-cost rates to community groups. This sounds amazing. This is something we were asking for, and we are very happy to see it. However, it's not actually in the capital plan, at least the version that's on the city's website of the capital plan. So we're just a little unsure as to how serious this is. So we're hoping that this is something that is taken seriously and that we'll be committed to no matter who wins the election. But we will still ask you, well, here's the full question. We notice this directive is specific but non-committal, and also notice it is not mentioned on the main capital plan page on the city's website. If you are elected, and assuming the capital plan is approved by voters, how would you follow through on this directive to ensure that it does indeed come to fruition? So I guess we'll go this way. Sorry, Massimo. Maybe you could talk about what Vancouver First would do if elected.
Well, I'm sure Vancouver First wants to see all the capital plans go forward, and that all communities and projects underneath the capital plan are established and completed. I've done 3 capital plan projects, two community center renovations and 1 failure. It didn't happen. I feel that the capital plan process is flawed. I think before saying what we could do with the capital plan, I think the capital plan needs to be overhauled. There's a lot of projects being put forward where money is spent to do feasibility, consultation, to do designs and planning, and then by the time we get to the point where we break ground, all that work is done for naught because the costs have grown, and we no longer can meet that project budget. I think we should look at the way it's structured and maybe just put feasibilities into the plan, and then once the feasibility and consultation and design is done, then we actually put it in for the actual project.
I completely agree. We did a major overhaul of the capital planning process over the last, I would say, 5 of our 6 years, resulting in a plan that can be carried forward for 10 years in terms of anticipating future capital plans, which is very challenging. You can't do everything in a 3 or 4 year period. And with quarterly regular updates to council in terms of whether projects are in place. In terms of this particular amendment, I can assure you that we will dedicate funding to doing feasibility. We don't have the specifics because you're not the only organization who would like this. We did a great job of explaining to us why we need to do this, why you're important and you need to be part of the mix, and that's why you're specifically mentioned in there. Your letter writing campaign worked. And so, but we have others that want this as well. We might do some combination. There might be some co-location of some of the people looking for space that would work very well and be far more feasible, as a matter of fact. So that's something we really want to explore, and we are dedicated to doing that feasibility study, and I cannot wait to get started on that. In terms of the website, I'll make sure it's updated, but what is moved is now policy of council. Absolutely. And I encourage everybody here to vote in favor of the capital plan. It's hugely important for moving the city forward, especially for culture and parks.
So one of the big complaints of the Vision Vancouver government, of course, is a lack of transparency, and a series of broken promises. I was at a debate last night at Kensington Community Center, and one of the questions that came up was the fact that their community center was promised all sorts of upgrades in the 2008 capital plan, which we all voted and approved. No, sorry, 2011 capital plan. We voted for it, we approved it, but nothing's happened. No ground has been broken. So it does beg the question, well, how much weight does a capital plan carry if it doesn't even happen in that election cycle? So what I will commit to doing is keeping the pressure on as far as these kind of broken promises and working with folks like SafeAmp to make sure that this is still on the agenda and that it doesn't get shuffled into some other kind of whatever broken promise scheme that seems to be the trend.
I really support SafeAmp wanting to do this kind of venue, but I also have to say that it comes, we have to make sure that every sort of granting program is evaluated in terms of the merit, and sometimes they're going to be competing protagonists, and there has to be an independent process. And I think we're doing reasonably well, although it's slightly vulnerable because of some of the ways it's constituted, in order to ensure that it's fair, that we get the best outcomes, and we really have to know how to get faster from feasibility study to execution, because now I think it's a little bit slow.
This is such a difficult process that even the presentation of it can be overwhelming and defeating. And I think one of the things that we can do, because I believe that when you read something like this, it's a signal from council. It isn't a guarantee. It is a signal that that was a good idea and that councillors have heard this idea. The only way, there are no guarantees with the capital plan, and right now there is no actual separate fund for culture, which was something I brought up. It said there is no funding for culture, no plans for culture in the capital plan. I still voted for it because there's many things that were identified that should be done in parks, etc. But we need to actually make a separate cultural plan so that when you do the feasibility studies, when you've completed and you're able to move forward with the building, you have money in hand, you can actually get it done because you know the money is there. We did used to have a fund like this. It made it possible for people like me to build, and I need to make sure that all of you can build the building you want by having that discrete fund. But without it there are no guarantees.
Pete's right. In that last capital plan, Kensington had backing. It's not there. Marpole Community Centre, the same thing. And so I would say, unfortunately, don't hold your breath on this. And I hate saying that. And the reason I hate saying that is because of my 16-year-old. I keep saying it. I want him to have this place. I want to be able to commit to the kind of facility that you're looking for. You need to vote in a new government that is a non-majority mixed slate that doesn't create a new kind of budget category called emerging priorities. $95 million that is this catch-all that makes it really easy to say, that sounds like a great idea. We'll fund it through emerging priorities, as opposed to saying, yes, we'll do it. Here's the specific line item budget. We need to get back to very specifics. Make a commitment, make a financial commitment, and put it down on paper, as opposed to this big ballooning amount.